So it's little things like that that we try to do to help young players learn that, look, and then what we'll do, and why I'm telling you this story, is we'll say, all these guys here at these booths, the ones that work for Astro or work Turtle Beach or SteelSeries or BenQ or work for Dr. Pepper, you know, they're there, and they're starting to get involved in esports, or people who are making products for esports. You will learn so much just by learning how a sponsor collects leads and how they market to people and how they use those leads. You are getting real business value. And you know how much you paid for that? By the way, you paid for that $25. You paid the entrance fee. And if you volunteered and worked with BenQ, the price of moving a few boxes or helping them break down a booth, you got real business experience. And if you do that once and you learn it, you'll never need to do it again, but you learned it. So there are ways to get involved in esports that will get you somewhere. And I know someone out there is probably thinking, well, Jerry, I live in Oklahoma, and there is no esports in Oklahoma. What can I do? Well, you're going to have to turn to the internet. You know this. And there are a lot of organizations that need community managers, and some organizations will help you build an esports resume, right? What I can do is, I can give you an example. Recently, Major League Gaming put out a job posting for a League of Legends community manager. And they're going to be looking for somebody to fill a very important role. Well, you know what? In the future of esports, there will be more games that need more community managers. Right now, if you're out there listening and you want to have a job in esports, build your resume to be a community manager. I have people in VV Gaming on our staff who are given the title community manager so that they can transition to those things, and they're generally title specific. And what I tell them to do, write news posts, deal with players' questions, so that when they apply to that job, they have a resume and they have real links they can send an employer going, I was a community manager for VV Gaming. Here are the articles and news posts that I did surrounding the game titles that I was a manager for. Here are some of the community events I ran that we got good traction on. So they can actually show MLG a League of Legends night that VV Chiral, who was our League of Legends community manager, ran that event, the results he got, the feedback that he received on the forums, all that stuff is real, and now they have a real living resume experience. So though there are many ways to do this, and I mean, just like Chris, John, I mean, you guys obviously talk about me or Jason doing a panel. You guys have been doing what I'm talking about. You guys have esports resumes. You are just as valuable to a lot of players. A lot of people want to do what you're doing. Not everybody wants to do what I'm doing. Not everybody wants to be an entrepreneur the way Jason is and sell products. We need all of you. We need all of us. And the point at the end of the day is, for anybody out there, to Jason's point about poking the box, approach those people and think about building your resume. I really do believe we need more of the right people. And if there's anybody out there who's sitting on the fence, should I get involved? Should I reach out and ask? Should I do it? Listen. The day you start whatever you pursue, there will be 1,000 people who will tell you you're going to fail. I promise you this. I was too old. I shouldn't get involved in esports. I have too much of a business focus. I don't know shit about developing your community. I don't know shit about video games. I suck at Gears of War. I suck at StarCraft. I've heard it all. But I think we need people who aren't good at the things that are just listed, but are good at holding interviews, are good at creating products, are good at seeing business value, are good at mentoring young people who want to develop skills. We need all of them. So I think at the end of the day, right, it's important that we walk away not just with needing an esports show of Jason and I, but Chris and John, what you guys do. John, I know you've got staff working for you. I know you're mentoring that staff. I know you're teaching them things. That is what grows esports in my mind, more so than a lot of other things. And making sure that the people who work for you or who you touch, you're helping grow their resume so they can actually work in this industry, and that they will be making money that they themselves will get to gladly spend back, to Jason's point, on esports, because they're passionate about it, they were able to work in it, and they're going to spend money on it once they get a job.
Right. Great answer. Man, you're on fire, Jerry.
I'm here to help. I'm just here to help.
Exactly. But unfortunately, we are out of time. You know, I know you guys have probably a tight schedule here, so why don't we do shout outs at this time? Jason, why don't you start?
Let's see. I'm actually going to shout out a random somebody. I'm going to shout out a guy named G. Riley Mills. His actual name is Gary G. Riley Mills. He's somebody that I was actually in the circus with way back in Chicago. He's an actor in Chicago, and he and I were in the Midnight Circus together. It was both of our very first circus. He just wrote a book, and yes, it is a business book. It is called The Pin Drop Principle, and it just came out like last week. I read it; it's amazing. And so Gary wrote this book, and it's about it's about actors. It's about approaching business and communication and the lessons learned from professional actors. It's fascinating, and it talks about. He mentions a quote from Udo Hagen, who's this really popular. Acting coach, and she says, and this is so, think about this in context of esports, this is my shout out, to be heard so intently that a pin dropping would be a shock is, of course, the perfect high C of communication. So the pin drop principle is all about how to be impactful in your communication. This goes to what Jerry said to Seth. The advice is, be focused in your communication. Anyway, it's a fascinating book, and it's a non-esports shout-out. G. Riley Mills, the book is called The Pin Drop Principle, and I actually think there's a lot of takeaways for esports. And again, I am a business book junkie, so that's my shout-out.
Awesome. All right, Jerry, you're up.
Two shout-outs. The first one goes to Seth, who asked that question, because I'm sorry if I'm going to use him as an example now, and I apologize, Seth, but I want to read you all something. I just got an email. Hi, I just want to say that I'm really grateful for you taking time out of your busy schedule to appear on ChanmanV's show. Having no formal business education, no real experience, I appreciate all the help I can get. If it's okay, I'd like to send you my proposal so you can poke holes in it. It should follow tomorrow. Thanks again for your time and care. I want you all to listen for a minute. Do you think I'm not going to look at his proposal? Do you think there's any chance I could turn him down? Of course not. Right? And all he had to do, to Jason's point, is poke a box. So, yes, Seth, I will gladly look at your proposal. And sending me a thank you note is the exact right thing to do, because it makes me feel good. And I will look at your proposal. The second shout-out goes, and I love having Jason on the show, because he reminds me to think outside of esports when I'm doing shout-outs. And I normally just thank the VV staff, who I can't do this without. But I guess I am shouting out to them. But I want to give a shout-out to somebody who a lot of us who watch TED Talks, he's been around the TED Talk circuits. He's a guy who thinks a lot about creativity and education. His name is Sir Kenneth Robinson. If you want to learn a lot, Google Sir Kenneth Robinson and look at his talks on creativity and education. A lot of people in esports are passionate, creative, and they're really smart. And they may not want to go into college or get a degree because they're not sure what they want to work at, and all they know is that they're passionate about esports. Well, I'm the one to tell you, I don't think you necessarily have to go to college to be successful, and I'm an academic snob, but the system is kind of broken. I'm a University of Chicago Ivy Leaguer. I'm a real academic snob, and I have the credentials to prove it. But I'm not so sure with what the world needs that college is the way to go. Look up a guy named Sir Kenneth Robinson, and he's got 2 TED Talks, one in 2006 or 7, and the other one in 2010. And they're both about creativity and the education system. If you need the motivation to poke the box, if you're feeling guilty about I need to go to school, you've got a lot of pressure from your family at home, look at those 2 videos and then take a pause for a minute and then say, you know what? I can do something in esports. I can build a resume. I can work in this, and go and do that, because I think you can.
All right, good stuff, man. I'm loving the shout-outs today. All right, John, your turn.
Boy, there's been so much said today. Shout out definitely for those that are tuning in today, because I know with E3 going on and everything, it's a little bit light for people to want to tune into something like this. They can watch lots of glitz and glory and lollipops if they tune into E3. But here we're serious. We're talking business, and we're talking the future of esports. Shout out to, as always, the staff at CSN for continuing to do what they do in trying to make a difference in esports. 99% of them for free, which is great. And definitely a shout out, brought up the community manager thing. That's basically how I got started. And it is really important. If you want to get involved, find a community and get involved. It doesn't matter the community or the game. I mean, esports is not just one community. There's several communities within esports. Find a game or a community that you're passionate about getting involved in and truly get involved. A shout out to the team at the GESL, which is coming up right after MLG. Still working hard and doing it from a grassroots level. So should definitely be some good things going on there. That's it. And shout out to you, Chris, for putting this on, and to Jerry and Jason for sticking around after 5 minutes of this. So this is good.
Well, yeah. First off, I want to thank, again, the viewers. Just like John said, for tuning in and watching the show. And I know there's a lot of other stuff going on, especially E3. And appreciate you guys hanging around. And I know a lot of people in the chat have been actually here for the majority of the show. So thankful that you guys are enjoying it. Big thanks to Jason and Jerry. I think this show, I had really high hopes for the show, and I think it's met my expectations. And I'm very happy for just the education that hopefully a lot of viewers got today, because that's what we do on this show. This show is about not only discussing issues, but really, leaving the show, really taking something from the show. And I feel like, guys like Seth and hopefully others, will take some of the advice that you guys have given them today. So very, very happy with the show. And hopefully, guys, if you have friends that might want to, kind of heed some of this advice or listen to some of this advice, let them know about the VODs, because, there's so much good content out there from other shows like Jerry's, Losers Bracket. I mean, he does just, we should promote Losers Bracket, Jerry. Like, when is it on? I mean,
Losers Bracket is on, actually on Tuesdays also. Will be on tonight
exactly.
at 8 o'clock Central Time, which will be 9 o'clock Eastern. And I know, Jason, you should plug your show, Jason.
Yep.
Esports Production Values, doesn't have a name, at youtube.com/ or whatever it is, Jason Tugman. Just Google Jason Tugman, Tugman, and you will find me.
Yeah, definitely check those guys out. And, again, there's just so much great stuff out there that, a lot of people don't know about. So, just hopefully you guys will be, open to it and kind of just share, kind of spread the word about these kind of things. But yeah, that's going to be it for Climbing the Ladder this week. Next week
Chris,
we have. Oh, go ahead, John.
I was just going to ask what's coming up next week.
Next week, guys will be, coming back from Anaheim, or in between, I guess, Anaheim and GSL. So we have Kennegat on, James Lampkin, and Brett Ruiz from ESFI.
And it's possible. It is very possible that I will actually be, for sure, I will be in Anaheim at that time. Mm-hmm. Not for MLG, but preparing for the GESL. So it's possible that I will be doing this at the GESL kind of like pre-event party. So we'll have quite a few players there, some of the pros that will be participating. So it's possible we will get a few of them on as well.
Awesome.
So.
Yeah, they're obviously welcome to be on the show, and we'll figure whatever needs to happen out so that we can get them on here. But all right, guys, we will see you next week. Peace. Oh, sorry, the VODs will be up later today. Just want to mention that before we kind of check out. But all right, guys, see you next week. Bye.
Thank you.
Yeah.